Behind me is a marshland with over 100,000 birds. Known as California's largest migrating spot for a lot of different species of waterfowl, I'll be exploring it today and showing you how you can do it with me this upcoming month. Merced National Wildlife Refuge is located in the heart of the Central Valley of California, the breadbasket of the world. And at this refuge is hundreds of thousands of birds that call it their home. This adventure is just one of many cool spectacles I got to witness this past year across America. From massive bird gatherings like this, to intimate encounters with owls building a family, to my most difficult challenge yet, of photographing America's rarest bird. I'll be showing you my past year as a wildlife photographer and the amazing things I got to encounter. Starting out here with my closest encounter with America's famous burrowing owl. So I've been coming here for a few weeks now and tracking a pair of burrowing owls that I've been noticing kind of creating their own burrow, and I'm hoping that when the season comes that I'll be able to get some burrowing owl babies coming out of the burrow as well. The burrowing owl. An amazing little creature that lives across the fields of America. Rare amongst birds, they nest in burrows that are dug underground. They are tiny but ferocious predators and can easily combat animals twice their size. And while I was enjoying my time photographing this one off in the distance, something caught my attention out of the corner of my eye. Literally have a burrowing owl 15 feet to our right, and I did not even notice it this whole time. I couldn't believe just how close this burrowing owl was to me. While I focused on the one in the distance, for the past 30 minutes, I had been sitting there with one right beside me the whole time, just relaxing, watching the day go by until it was time for it to hunt. In my past encounters with these owls, never had I been so close as to see the literal pupils in its eyes as they scanned the horizon. Something about seeing these powerful predators down close on the ground and in person is special and unique from so many other bird experiences, and one that I had been wanting for a while. As the day went on, I got to see the light evolve, swallows sweep through the field, and harriers hunt out in the sunset. Seeing as I was so close to the owl, I switched out to my Sigma 135 1.8 and worked on capturing not only tight close-ups, but also wider angles that captured the beautiful light and environment around the bird. The light was magical how it softly fell through the grass from the low-set horizon. Using foreground grass to isolate the subject and moving my body left to right, I found windows of clarity that isolated the bird against the deep greens and yellows, telling a story of its size in the grass. I was amazed at the boldness of this bird and was making the most of this encounter. As the day came to a close and the sun started to tint the sky, the light lined up perfectly to create an amazing color palette through my viewfinder. I had positioned myself well, and as the sun peaked around its final cloud, I was able to capture my best images of burrowing owls yet. As the twilight came, the burrowing owl finally took up to begin his hunt. Burrowing owl just flushed. Other side. We're in these last hours of light where we can't really do much more, so we'll see. It's hunting now. So we're gonna see if we can get some stuff of it on some perches that it's hunting from. While watching him hunt, I got to see him hovering against the wind looking for some prey from above, which I had never seen before. While I wanted to watch this hunt forever, the darkness soon got the best of me and brought my night to a close. What an incredible encounter with burrowing owl I was blessed to have, and I was excited to follow up with them again in a few weeks to see if their family had grown. Back at where we started out this video at Merced National Wildlife Refuge, I was attempting to photograph some of the snow geese spectacle, one of the largest gatherings in the United States. I kept stopping at multiple locations to attempt to frame a snow goose flying against the Sierra Nevada mountains far off in the distance. Many days, the haze is too extreme to get them framed against the mountains almost 50 miles away. But today, I'd wind up getting a plethora of opportunities in the first hour and captured some images I really liked as they fought to fly against the high-speed winds. Eventually, after spending over an hour attempting these photos of individuals and the whole flock, they flushed up in a spectacular whirlwind and flooded the sky. Further down the loop of the Merced National Wildlife Refuge, I visited my favorite spot for black-necked stilt, foraging close beside the road. Every time I come here, they never fail to give me some great opportunities, and today was no different. But since I've already captured many photos of these guys before, I would also push myself to try something new, and aim at capturing some slightly wider angle images, using my Sigma 135mm 1.8 and controlling the viewer's perception through foreground and shallow depth of field. Both the 135mm images and 600mm images turned out decent, but what I was really hoping to do was come back after sunset to capture these guys with some pink hues in the reflection of the water. And while I did predict the amazing photographs I'd capture later in the evening with black-necked stilt, I would have never predicted the upcoming moment with them just down the road in a few minutes. Wow, what an afternoon this has been so far. I'm really excited to tell you guys a little bit about the wildlife photography meetup I'm going to be hosting right here at Merced National Wildlife Refuge. But first, let me share with you guys a little bit about the history of this refuge. In 1951, it was established under the Leah Act to help attract wintering waterfowl away from the surrounding farm fields that are abundant in the Central Valley. This then in turn helps give refuge to the wintering waterfowl whose population numbers are drastically decreasing. It's sad to think that these grand spectacles of birds may not be a thing for many more decades if populations continue to decline like this. Corn and wheat is grown on the property for the waterfowl to graze on and keep them out of the fields, and as many as 15,000 cranes and 60,000 Arctic migrating geese make their home here in the winter. It's an amazing place and one of my favorite wildlife spots to visit in all of the Central Valley of California. Just up the road, soon after my previous stilt encounter, I ran into a group of 4 foraging in the grass alongside the road. Usually, they stick to the waters, so this was enough to capture my attention and get me to hop out of the car. But when I started photographing, I noticed something was wrong. One of the stilts was injured, and I couldn't quite tell how it happened, but one of its feet was completely limp and ragged. As I watched for the next few minutes, this stilt was determined to find the food it needed to heal. It looked around the grass much more frantically than the other 3 stilt in the area, showing that most likely it was running low on food due to its disability. I had located the flock of snow geese as they settled down for the night in the field. I drove over to the closest vantage point, but unfortunately tonight, it would be too far away to make any good shots of, behind private property. Still, it was amazing to see such a spectacle of them gathered together so close out in the evening, and they never failed to leave me with a sense of awe about nature. But the evening wasn't over. I've always wanted to photograph a black-necked stilt in tranquil pink-toned water as the sun sets over the horizon, and tonight would be my opportunity. I quickly scrambled to the location with mere minutes of light left in the sky. The black-necked stilt were still foraging, and I began getting into position. Getting low to the ground, I started to capture photo after photo of them, against the beautiful hues. There truly is something special and magical about twilight hours in nature as the whole world wakes up or goes to bed. And as this evening ended out, I captured my favorite photo of a black-necked stilt I have ever taken, reaching out to eat a midge floating atop the water. What an incredible location to visit, and what a miracle it is to witness so many different bird species, all so uniquely made. If you're interested in checking out Merced National Wildlife Refuge and the bird migration spectacle that happens here each year and want an experienced guide from the area, check out the workshop link I'm having in February in the description below to learn more. In Merced, good things come from mass gatherings like this, but in some other situations, too many birds can be a bad thing. As it's spring, life is blossoming everywhere, one place of which is my local egret roost. Each year, I like to visit this place to get some casual photographs of the egrets in their nest with the young ones. Over the course of several months and multiple visits, I filmed cattle egret, snowy egret, gray egret, and black-crowned heron families build their nests and raise their young ones. I even got to watch some mating displays. And along the way, I got to get some awesome photographs in nature's house of birds. Parents would hunt for food, feed the little ones, and all was well in the colony, except space. In an ideal nesting grounds like this, space is king. If you don't have it, you want it. And if you have it, you don't want to give it up. Cattle egrets, being the smallest and most abundant of the birds here, often get pushed towards the leftover spots and crammed into any space possible. As mating season comes around, egrets fight for their territory, sometimes to the death, and crazy things happen, including this fight here. Young ones need to make sure to stay out of the way. Nature is brutal, and sadly, this fight wasn't the only injury on the field. It makes me feel sad for the birds, and reminds me that when possible, save space for them in our ever-growing world. This past year allowed for me to get some of the greatest photographs I've ever captured. But in many scenarios required for great photographs, pushing the limitations of your camera gear is a must. That's where DxO comes in, the sponsor of today's video. Lately, I've been using their PureRaw program to denoise on the pixel level, which creates some stunningly clean images while not messing with the overall picture and distorting it. Right before this in the video, you saw some of the time I spent with the egret roost this spring, which led to some amazing photos in low light, backlit sunset. Using DxO PureRaw, I was able to do incredible crops using the Nikon 800mm 6.3 and retain my sharpness and noise control with stunning accuracy. Each individual feather on the egret's crest is well defined and the out of focus areas are nice and smooth without being over the top and plasticky. With DxO Deep Prime's XD technology, I was also able to recover a shot from earlier in this video of the burrowing owl minutes after sunset when normally the noise would have been too high to make a usable image. Sometimes with YouTube's compression, it can be hard to see the fine details of these results on screen. So what I'm gonna do is link a few files for download in the description below so you can download them and see the results of DxO side by side as you blow them up on your computer, and I am 100% confident you'll be amazed by the results. Unlike most software, DxO works on a perpetual license model, meaning you don't have to keep paying silly subscription fees as time goes on. Right now, DxO is offering huge Black Friday savings only through this weekend. So if you've been considering the program, I hope you take advantage of these savings while they last. Back at our owl location, something exciting had happened. Ooh. There we are. Sure enough, those owlets are out and oh my goodness, it's 3 of them. And the parent. Finally seeing these owls out of the nest was such a treat. After 2 months from when I first saw them to now, I've been waiting for this moment for months after seeing just the tops of their heads day after day. But unfortunately, they were high up and no real good angles could be achieved of them. In these moments, I did realize something though, that there was a 4th young one I had never noticed before. Using foreground leaves, I tried to make something of it, isolating the great horned owlets, but nothing crazy came of it. I enjoyed getting to spend my time with these owlets, but little did I know that later on in the day, I would get an amazing encounter with the great horned owlet in perfect light. Sunset was approaching, and that meant it was time to go check out our burrowing owl friends to see if their owlets had popped out of the burrow yet. But sadly, as I searched the area for them, I discovered an empty home. Okay, so yeah, this is it. It looks like this was our burrowing owl burrow. I was carefully walking around to try to spot the burrowing owls beforehand and was making sure I didn't disturb them or see them, but it looks like this burrow is abandoned now. You can see all the guano markings here on the side. The burrow itself, come around to this angle, down in there. But yeah, that's interesting. That means that either, because I did see 2 of them originally, that means that either they never wound up mating together or it was an unsuccessful season. I would think since the male had stuck around the burrow so much, they did mate, but bummer. We'll look around, see if we can find them around flying, but I highly doubt it as I've found the other guy around his burrow. I was so sad to see that my hard work this year following a burrowing owl family had stopped in its tracks, and to see that no burrowing owls would be coming out of the burrow this year. Unsure of what had happened, I left the burrowing owl plains for the evening. But my hopes weren't completely crushed yet, as I had seen a great horned owl family earlier today, and was on my way back to see if I could get a better look at a young one when this happened. Those juvies are moving around. They are definitely flying. That's exciting. One just flushed out from here, went all the way over to that tree, so they're flying pretty decently. Another one right there. Oh man, we could be in for a show tonight. Any more down? Ooh, we got one down on the ground over here. Oh, that is awesome. couldn't believe my eyes. There it was, right in front of me. A great horned owlet was sitting on the ground down by the pond, presumably just having gotten some water. Its big, beady eyes staring right back at me. And not only this, but it was set amidst a gorgeous scenery of wood thicket and brush, with some sunset lighting up the environment from the side. This would prove to be my best encounter with great horned owls yet. And as I slowly approached taking shot after shot, I used both tight and wide angles to get the intensity of the bird up close and the beauty of the scene. After months of waiting for them to come out of the nest, this was finally my chance. Seeing young ones take their first flights, encouraged by mom, all the owlets were scattered around, with mom hooting back and forth to the little ones, encouraging them to fly around. Never could I have planned for the young owl to be at this exact spot on the ground at this time. And just as the sun was about to dip on a day where I thought I would be getting burrowing owl photos, I turned to take some of the best shots of great horned owls in my life. From babies to juvies, these owls are now starting their adventure into the big, wide world. They'll learn to fly, to hunt, and to raise young ones of their own someday. And such is the circle of life. Experiencing these owls and their family was incredible. But all of this shadowed in comparison to the experience I was about to have ahead of me this year. In spring of 2025, I would attempt the most insane challenge I've ever taken on yet. There's this photograph that I've been dreaming of for years. A shot so difficult that literally no one has ever captured it before. There's this bird called the Himalayan snowcock, only existing in North America in a single mountain range called the Ruby Mountains. Everything is at odds against you when photographing this bird. The weather, the incredibly small population to find, how insanely skittish they are, and the daringly, almost inaccessible mountain cliffs you have to climb to get to them. Mother Nature is reminding you every step of the way, you aren't built to be here. But this bird is. And to try to photograph this bird well, you'll have to defy all these odds. This is what I've come for. This bird is so rare that it literally only exists in the US in this specific mountain range and nowhere else. Introduced from the Himalayas in 1963, they have grown to a population of an estimated 300. However, the rubies are nearly 2,000 square miles in area, most of all of which is alpine peaks and requires extensive hiking and backpacking. And what makes matters worse is these birds are incredibly skittish. Upon first sighting, they will often jump straight off the canyon face to fly off and never be seen again. Approaching them requires tremendous caution and unparalleled strategy. But to capture such a beautiful bird, a beautiful plan is required. In this adventure, I'll overcome physical boundaries I've never pushed before, and test my mental strength like never before. Even when against all odds of photographing this impossible bird, I have two impossible shots that I'll be pursuing on this excursion. Number one, snowcock have an absolutely stunning call that echoes across the mountain peaks, and I'll be attempting to capture that on video. And number two, I'll be attempting to capture the first ever high-quality aesthetic photograph of these birds in the Ruby Mountains. After working through my 5-day plan with local bird guide and expert on snowcock, Bill Holman, he pinpointed my odds at a 70% chance of seeing these birds and a mere 15% chance of getting a good photograph of them. That's absolutely ridiculous odds. But here we are, on day one, scouting out our location for snowcock at the most likely recommended location by Bill. Whew. chukar, an amazing desert partridge living amongst the steep slopes of arid regions. Also, an incredibly skittish bird. But while I was watching this pair from a distance, something much bigger caught my attention off to the side. A band of mountain goats was resting on the cliff ledge. Amongst them, even a young one learning the lifestyle of the cliffs. These little fluff balls are adorable and easily some of the cutest creatures I have ever seen. These mountain goat are incredible how they scale cliffs that are seemingly impossible to get a foothold, but with their specialized hooves, they cling to the rock as they move along it. Fascinated with this behavior, I spent a few minutes recording this female as she gave me a show of this ability. Off to my right and set against some distant mountain peaks, a male mountain goat approached over the edge. Seeing this background and angle, I knew this would be my best opportunity from my positioning to get a photograph. So I fired off a shot and captured the mountain goat against some alpine peaks, beautifully representing the grand environment that they live in. This was one of my 2 side goals for the trip that I wasn't expecting, but would really be pleased to find. Mountain goat, as seen here, and bighorn sheep are both coveted mammals that roam the Great Basin across America. And on day 1, getting this opportunity to start out showed promise higher than I had hoped. But while my mountain goat experience was great, my bighorn sheep encounter later on would result in some unbelievable photos I cannot wait to share with you all.
On this trip, I was expecting to be able to see mountain goat at some point during it, but I was really not expecting to be able to get any good shots. So it was awesome that on our very first day, just when scouting, I was able to get a shot that was actually pretty good, composed with those mountain peaks in the background of one of the mountain goats. So I'm already considering that a win, and I think we've come off to a great start on simply our scouting day after these snowcock. So this is one of the first corridors that I've been told that the snowcock kind of tend to frequent through. And so I'm seeing right up this way, we've got the path that we can hike up to get on the top of the cliff, try to shoot the snowcock off the side of the cliff that's all behind us, stretched out right here. But they also like to come down through this lower passage and kind of come up that corridor right there. And I'm also seeing that right here can offer some pretty good opportunities too, with an amazing vista in the background, if possible. So trying to figure out right now and keep conscious of some different angles that might work out for good opportunities, and just kind of be ready for those in these future days if they come.
As we scouted around the area, we plotted routes of travel for the snowcock along the cliff sides. These birds scale cliff sides particularly with small ledges of grass and sedge along them. As we planned our route of attack, we discovered small caves and scenic vistas along the way. Getting the shot I'm dreaming of is far from a photograph that happens by accident. Everything has to come together for it. Timing, lighting, angles, technique, and behavior all have to line up. Mentally plotting these routes the snowcock frequents and picking my backgrounds accordingly while considering the light at the correct time of day is essential for me getting this one-of-a-kind image.
All right, so you want to know the good news and the bad news about this?
Yeah.
The good news is that if the snowcock is in this area, which has taken us maybe about an hour and a half to get to this spot, and we'll just go a little further up, that's all we're gonna have to hike each of these mornings. But the bad news is that if the snowcock is not in this area, we're climbing to the top of that.
Shoot.
Which is easily an extra hour to 2 hours on top of what we're doing. So we're looking at like a 3-hour hike every morning in the dark. That's gonna be tough if so.
Getting around the upper cliff here wasn't easy. The snowpack on the shaded side was a little deeper than expected, and sinking with each step made travel slow and painful. But after spending nearly an hour on the final push, we made it to the top of the ledge. With the amount of hiking on this trip, it made me grateful to be able to use the Sigma 500mm 5.6.
It's the sharpest lens I could think of for the job that comes in with a decent focal length and aperture at only 3 pounds or under. Any other lens would have weighed so much more and been so much bigger that it would have made travel difficult.
Got the battle scars to prove that did this, climb this mountain. So I think today we've finished our scouting as it's getting pretty close to sunset. We got to get back down this mountain, but out this way a little further would be some more options in the future. We might scout these after the mornings if we're not successful at these ideal locations. This location we're currently at, kind of in this area, and the location I pointed out earlier are the two most ideal locations for getting actual good photographs of snowcock, it seems. So whether that plays out in reality, we will see over the next 4 days.
As we made our way back down the hill that night, I felt energized. With hope of being the first person ever to accomplish this feat, I looked forward to good things to come. But little did I know that my plans wouldn't quite work out the way that I expected.
So we're out here right now at 4 a.m. in the morning to do this hike. Never, ever, ever done a shoot this brutal. Gonna be doing this for the next 4 days and just praying that the snowcock, we not only get to kind of figure out where they are, but that we get that good shot that we're looking for.
The mountain is magical as it comes to life. In the cold, the sounds of the river echoed as we hiked up towards the cliffs. Fresh air filled our lungs, and hope inspired our steps. As we approached our location to set up, the light started to hit the valley. It was a cold morning, and the moisture in the clouds hitting the mountainside where we posted up made our clothes wet, freezing our bodies much more than we expected. However, even amidst the chilling temperatures, the views were amazing as light would dance in between the clouds as clouds would roll in one by one to hit us on the mountainside.
So we're about an hour and a half into waiting for the snowcock after sunrise, and so far nothing, not even a sound, which is kind of discouraging. I would have expected them to call by now, even if they were on the second location a little further up the cliff. I would have expected to hear them. So the fact that we're not is not a good sign today. But while we are waiting, this is a beautiful, beautiful scenery that we're getting to see as the fog kind of rolls through each time. And so, man, what a stunning place to be.
A few mountain bluebird wound up making their way through the area. I've photographed these birds a few times before, but still, they always amaze me with their stunning colors.
So at this point, it's been about 3 hours that we've been waiting here, and there's been no signs of the snowcock whatsoever, which has been really sad. By this point in the morning, I'd be really surprised if we didn't hear anything of them whatsoever. So I'm debating scouting out, heading back down the hill in about 30 minutes or so if we don't see them, scouting out some other areas and potentially seeing if they're at any of the other cliffs around here, because I'm not seeing any signs of them here. So we're off at a new location. This is kind of the backup location, and we're gonna be scouting it today. Maybe, fingers crossed, run into some snowcock, but at the very least, hopefully hear them, and then hopefully come back tomorrow morning after a failure this morning at the other location. Just nothing.
After an initial drone scout, we started making our way up the mountain again. This terrain proves unforgiving, and the slopes were amongst the steepest I've hiked in my life. Each time we climb up, our goal is to make it from around 6,000 feet in elevation at the base of the mountain to 9,000 feet on the ledges where the Himalayan snowcock live. And the trickiest part is sometimes figuring out how to get up these cliffs, as there is no trail telling you how to route up. You've been seeing me use a drone throughout this video, and the reason for this is that we are going through untrailed territory, dodging our way around steep cliffs that you can't get vantage points on correctly from down low. So using a drone, we were able to plot our routes ahead of time in order to avoid hours of pointless hiking.
So we've already been hiking for an hour and a half. I don't know how many feet of elevation we've done, but it has been steep, and really where we're trying to get to is the top of that up there, which is kind of been crazy and insane when I'm looking at this right now. But apparently that's another option for where some of the snowcock are. This hike has been strenuous, way more difficult than the other one, that's for sure. It sounds crazy thinking about a couple days of this.
This cliff ledge was flooded with marmots. I think I counted over 10 plus during our time here. However, I was laser focused on the task at hand, so I didn't take time to capture anything good. After another hour of hiking up to the next set of cliffs, I launched the drone one final time for the day to scout out our last remaining route for the following morning.
So we just finished scouting out the tops of these cliffs on the high end and the potential final destination with the drone, and not too excited about how it looks. This is really winding up to be difficult to find where these guys might be, and I'm not feeling super confident about the future with them here at the spot, and let alone if we were to put in another hour's worth of hiking, you know, before sunrise tomorrow. So yeah, man, it's been so tough. I don't want to do this anymore, Grandpa. Mommy. Oh my goodness. Oh.
After another failed day and still not a single snowcock heard or seen, I decided to switch up the game plan. We would get there at the crack of dawn and drive the canyon road in search of the snowcock from the valley floor. This would allow us to cover a dramatically greater amount of area, even if it kept us from getting photos that day. The goal would be to locate them, then spend the final 2 days up on the cliffs actually attempting the photograph. And this plan paid off, as not even later than 20 minutes into scouting, at only our second pullout, I spotted something on a ledge.
Oh my goodness, that's actually them. They are incredibly far off right now on the tops of those ledges, but that is 100% snowcock. I mean, I could barely even get it on video to show you guys. That's how tiny they are, but I can see them when I punch in extra on my camera. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is just insane. That makes me so happy to at least know that they are here, because I was starting to just completely lose hope, but that is 100% them. The question is though, that is so high up. I don't even know how to access that. That's higher than either of the points we were hoping for. And so, yeah, that's gonna be a tough problem to solve, is how to get up there. But I guess that's what I'm gonna start doing right now, is doing some research on that. Wow. Yeah, this video is hard to tell, but the photo, you can definitely make out. We zoom in far enough here. I have multiple photos with him moving, so it's definitely not a rock formation. You can see this kind of silhouette right there. There is no other bird that could possibly be with that silhouette. My first look at snowcock, and there's specks on the screen. I can't say I expected much different though.
After this encounter, we drove back out of the canyon to get reception so I could try to get a rough route scouted on Apple Maps using 3D terrain. I developed a game plan for a scouting hike later that day, but then this happened.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe we just ran across bighorn sheep. There's only about 50 of them roughly in this whole Ruby Mountain range. And we just ran across one of the few groups. Gonna get up on this ledge real quick, see if we can get an angle.
As the herd made its way over to me, I became increasingly overwhelmed with their beauty. From a distance, they can seem a little plain with just a brown coat, but up close, as with all animals, their beauty shines through. The way they are crafted with beautifully curled horns, their attention to each other and the bond they share, and their incredible ability to scale cliffs like the mountain goat from before. These animals were native to the area, but disappeared in the 1900s until they were reintroduced in the 1980s. Now, the herd is around 50 population amongst this whole vast mountain range, so seeing them was such a treat. They are special creatures, and it was an honor to be amongst their herd. I carefully kept my distance, backpedaling as they continued to advance. Spending about a half hour with them and learning their comfort zones, I was able to get incredible close-ups I would have never thought were possible with them. Eventually, I switched to my 135mm 1.8 lens to try and take advantage of how close the herd was, and the results with this lens turned out incredible. Seeing the herd of rams approaching my location head on turned out to be amazing footage, and I wound up capturing some amazing scenic shots and amazing portraits of individuals in the bighorn sheep herd. Eventually, the herd left and made their way up the slopes way quicker than I could follow. I had now gotten lucky enough to run across both of my two side goals on this trip, mountain goat and bighorn sheep. So thankful for these experiences, only one goal remained left, and that was to capture the pinnacle of bird photography in the United States, the Himalayan snowcock. But what was about to happen was absolutely heartbreaking. We scouted a few more locations out at some other pullouts, then started to make our way up the mountain to scout our new route. The hike was grueling once again, but that wouldn't stop our determined spirits from setting ourselves up for the best chances possible on tomorrow's shoot. One more time, we climbed that mountain, hundreds of feet in elevation, just to get a chance at this elusive bird. When getting close to another blockage on the cliffs, I made my way up to the top of an outcrop to launch my drone high into the sky. I figured out our route for the next day. We would hike up the initial slope, push our way over to a river wash, down the mountain, and then push our way up and over to the peaks, and then climb our way over to the side. But as I was coming back down off the cliff, I started to slip, and the worst thing possible happened.
God. Oh. I freaking knew I should have put it away too, and I just didn't. I tried to hold on to it going down a cliff. Destroyed. By some miracle of God, I think the lenses are still okay. Come on. Nope. Destroyed. I literally dropped this like, it tumbled like probably 20, 30 feet down the side of it. Get that shot. Back of the teleconverter. It's a little messed up, dinged in there. Here. So gone. Actually, it's pretty sharp. I should probably not even touch it. Viewfinder ripped off on the fall. LCD screen completely cracked. And the front got a crack going down the whole body of it. And then the sensor itself, it looks actually okay, but completely dusted. So we just tested out this lens, and apparently it is completely broken. So right here you can see that somehow this barrel just got wrecked. It's tighter there, loose there. This is somehow jolted, just broken something in the middle. So glass is fine. But it's better completely messed up. And so when I was trying to manually focus it, nothing was happening when I was turning this. Even when it's on manual focus on the lens, the electronic connection is not working to the camera, and autofocus wasn't working. Couldn't change in your f-stop, none of that. So the worst part about it is too, I literally knew that I should have put it in the camera backpack. The whole time in this trip, I never thought, oh, I should put my camera backpack. And then coming down that exact ledge, I was like, this is a little sketch. I should probably put this in. The worst part is that lens doesn't even work. I thought that was gonna work. It doesn't work. Not only that, but I have to pay the cost of the lens now. So, got no camera body with it either, so looks like it might be no wildlife photography for me for a while.
I had never felt so defeated as that moment. In my whole wildlife photography journey, I've never once felt the heartbreak of trying so hard, only to have my dreams crushed by an accident like this. My wife kept telling me at least I was safe, but all I could think about was the snowcock up in the mountains, sitting there on that cliff edge, waiting for me to memorialize it in a photo. This bird is truly an insurmountable task to photograph, and now it's become a muse to my soul that I just can't shake. After spending 3 days scaling mountains, cutting my hands, ticks biting me, and spending hours of research over 5 years, all just to be stopped in 5 seconds of fate. It made me crave wanting more. This journey isn't the end, but just the beginning. And I will be back for you, O ghost of the mountains. See you next year. Thanks for watching. Next year, I'll be reattempting this insane photograph of the Himalayan snowcock. So subscribe if you want to see how the story ends. See you next year.